welcome back to my channel. I am Amber from Amber's Books and More, and today I have my March wrap-up. So first of all, I apologize for the lipstick. I was feeling in some kind of mood today, and I guess that meant black lipstick and some skeleton necklace, so that's just... sorry. So that's just what today is gonna bring. You're gonna get the black lipstick. I'm sorry. If you don't like it, I won't wear it again. Just let me know down below and I won't wear it again. But we're gonna go ahead and get started. So this is gonna be my March wrap up. I'm actually really proud of myself because I managed to read 13 books this month. Some of those are very small, of course, but I think that considering how much of a book slump I've been in the past, I think that I've done really well this month. And so let's just go ahead and get started on what I did read. So the first book I read in the month of March was Letters from Maine by May Sarton. May Sarton. This is a book of poetry that she wrote after she had a brief love affair with another woman, and this is her journey of not only reminiscing but accepting and moving on with her life, and it is a very beautiful poetry, and I definitely recommend this. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. So the next book I read in March was actually a graphic novel called Lumberjanes Volume 1, Beware the Kitten Holly. This was a very short little graphic novel that I read, aimed at more 8 to 12 year olds, and it was a very cute read about these little girls that are basically like lumberjacks, but they're girls, and they're in like this like summer camp thing together, and there's like crazy things that happen. It's a very cute read. I definitely recommend it if you have any young girls like 8 to 12 years old. I think this would be a really good way for them to get started in graphic novels, and I gave that 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. So the next book I read in the month of March was my first time reading Sarah J. Maas, and I read A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. This is a Beauty and the Beast reimagining, retelling, I guess you would say. So this story follows Feyre, and Feyre accidentally kills a fairy because she thinks that it is a wolf, and then as her punishment, she's going to live with the fairies, and it's kind of, you know, if you know Beauty and the Beast, you kind of understand where the story goes. I don't want to give away any spoilers. I have not read the second book yet, but I am saving that for the month of April, and I'm doing Tome Topple. So on Wednesday on my channel, I will have my Tome Topple TBR will go up, and that will be on it. But I gave this 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, and I definitely want to continue with the series, and I definitely want to continue reading Sarah J. Maas books, because even though there were some things that I kind of got frustrated about, you know, the let out a breath I didn't know I was holding kind of thing, she still has very good writing, and I did enjoy the book overall. So the next book I read was actually a manga, and it was Attack on Titan Volume 1 by Hajime Hasayama, and the reason I picked this one up is because my brother really enjoys Attack on Titan, and he recommended it, and I did try it out. It was a little bit odd. It's kind of hard to explain what it was. You just kind of have to go into it not really knowing anything. But it looks like I gave that a 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I don't think I'm going to continue on with the series just because there are so many of them and they're very short. But either way, it was probably, I would recommend it for high range, for low range teenage boys or girls maybe, because it is a good story. I just think that it's not for me. So the next book that I read in March was actually a part of a March readathon that I had with Julie over at Pages and Pens, and it was a book club book of the month for Java and the Librarians. I will leave the live show linked up above that we did a couple of weeks ago, and that was The School for Good and Evil by Soman Chanani. I also have a review for this that I will link up above as well. This was a story about 2 girls that live in this fairy tale universe where two people are kidnapped once every 4 years, and they're sent to either the school. One is sent for the school for good, one is sent to the school for evil, and this kind of tells the tale of who's actually good, who's actually evil. Is anybody even truly just good or just evil? I think that it was a very good book. I bought the entire trilogy that was supposed to be a trilogy, but I think they're adding a 4th book, which I'm not sure if I'm going to pick that up because I haven't moved on to the 2nd and 3rd book of this yet. But overall, I did enjoy the story, and it looks like I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. So definitely check out my review if you want to know more about this one. Alright, so the next book that I read in the month of March was another graphic novel, and this one was Witches, Volume 1. And this was by, it says Snyder, Jock, Hollingsworth, and Robbins. So it has a group of people that created it. This is a different take on witches, and it's very creepy and mysterious and a little bit odd. It wasn't the greatest graphic novel I've ever read, but it wasn't the worst either. The artwork was very beautiful to me because it was kind of creepy and it kind of went along with the story. I only give it a 3 out of 5 stars because, like I said, it was just okay. I didn't really have strong feelings about it either way, and I don't think that I'm going to continue on with any of these series for this, but I do think that it was a decent enough read if you can maybe get this at the library or something. So the next book I read for the month of March was one that I was so very excited about, and that was Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab. This is the final book of the trilogy, the Shades of Magic series that she has. There is talk about her writing more books in this universe, just not with these same characters, which I'm all for. I definitely want that. But this is the finale of a story about Kel, which is a magician that can move from parallel Londons. There are 4 of them. And Lila, who is a thief that wants to be a pirate, and it is kind of their story, and it is a very good ending. Let's see, I believe, yeah, I give it 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. There was a few kind of differences that I probably would have picked, but overall I think that it was a wonderful series, and this was a fantastic final book, and it is action packed. It's over 600 pages. I mean, it's a chunker, and it is action packed the entire way through. So I definitely recommend this series if you enjoy high fantasy but are a little bit scared of it, because it's kind of a YA. It's not YA, but it feels like a YA and high fantasy mashup that is very easy and fast paced to read. So I think that March was my graphic novel month, or my month of graphic novels, because the next book I read was also a graphic novel, and it was Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven and Other Tales. So this basically has, let's see, it has The Raven, The Fall of the House of Usher, The Mask of the Red Death, The Black Cat, and The System of Dr. Tar and Professor Feather. So I think 2 of these stories I had actually never read, and I did enjoy them. I enjoyed overall the entire book. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. The artwork is beautiful and matches Poe's overall kind of creepy nature. And so if you're wanting to get into Poe and kind of see if some of his work is something that you would enjoy, I definitely recommend picking this up. I got this at Barnes & Noble on sale. It was only maybe $5 or $6, I think, but it was definitely worth it. It was definitely a good read. So the next book I read was another graphic novel, and this was Bram Stoker's Dracula, and this was also one that I picked up at Barnes & Noble. Both of these 2 were picked up in the same book haul. I'll leave that linked up above. So this is a graphic novel version of Dracula by Bram Stoker. Now, I've read Dracula a long time ago, and I really did enjoy the story. I think that this is very good, and the artwork is fantastic, but I think that they may have shortened it a little bit too much, and overall left out maybe parts of the story that shouldn't have been left out. So I give this 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. It's definitely a good introduction to Dracula, but I definitely recommend actually reading the full novel along with this. But this is a good introduction for somebody that wants to see if they would enjoy reading Dracula. So the next book I read for the month of March was my final graphic novel of the month, and it was called Anya's Ghost by Vera Broskal. This marked the beginning of my Fempower-a-thon readathon, which was to read books by women, and this was a graphic novel by a woman. This follows the story of Anya, and she falls down a well or a hole kind of thing, and she encounters this ghost who follows her home and helps her with her homework. And it did actually surprise me quite a bit because it took a turn I wasn't expecting, and it was a very good graphic novel, and I really do recommend that one. I gave that one 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. So the next book that I read in the month of March was The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer by Michelle Hodkin, the first book of the Mara Dyer series. These stories follow a girl who wakes up in the hospital having just had a traumatic event happen to her, but she can't remember. And so this whole book is basically her family moves to help her get over what happened. She meets a boy that kind of tries to help her, and she doesn't remember. She's trying to get her memory back. She feels crazy. You as the reader feel crazy. I can definitely see where this is not a book for everybody, but I really enjoy creepy and mysterious kind of stories to where I don't find out what happens until the character finds out what happens. So I definitely like this, and I gave this a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads. But I do think that if I can see where other people might not like this. So yeah, this one is definitely one that I'm glad that I picked up, and I will be continuing with the series for this. Okay, so the next book that I read in the month of March was The Archived by Victoria Schwab. This is the same author that wrote the Shades of Magic series, but this is her young adult book. So when she writes, is V.E. Schwab, like the other one is her adult books, and then Victoria Schwab are her young adult books. She has stated that she actually writes her young adult books a little darker than most of her adult books, and I definitely agree. This was definitely dark and crazy and different than I thought it was going to be. It follows a girl that is a keeper at this place. Basically, whenever you die, like kind of an imprint of you gets put on a shelf, but it is like it's you, it's like a body, and they hold your memories, and they're like stories, and she kind of makes sure that they don't escape and make sure that everything stays good. So she's a keeper, and I mean, that's all I'm going to say, because this is a great story. I gave this 5 out of 5 on Goodreads. I love this, and I have already gotten the second book of the series. The third one is coming out this year, and I'm definitely continuing on with this series. It is very good, and I highly recommend this if you like spooky, not even really spooky, but just kind of crazy stories. Even though, yeah, I did kind of get scared by a noise at night after reading some of this, but I definitely recommend it. So the last book that I read in the month of March, I don't have a physical copy yet, even though I'm going to go out probably today and tomorrow and actually pick up a physical copy, because I actually purchased this as an audio book because I wanted to not only support the Black author, but I also wanted to support the Black narrator. And so I definitely enjoyed this on audiobook. It was very strong, and it was very emotional, and it follows Star, who witnesses the brutal murder of her friend from the brutal murder of her childhood friend Khalil by a white police officer when he is unarmed. So it was inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement, but that's not really all it is. You know, it's very heartwarming, funny, beautiful, heartbreaking. It matches, I mean, it fits all of the criteria. I definitely recommend everyone pick this up. It's 5 out of 5 stars. I still have not had time to record a review because I've been in school and I just have a lot going on, but I am definitely going to be recording one soon and putting it up as soon as I can. But 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, on everywhere. Definitely recommend this one. So that's all the books that I read in the month of March. So one thing to note is that I read The Hate U Give with nearly a week left of March. I finished it around the 20th, I think, and the problem is it put me kind of in a hangover, and then I had school and I had to do some required reading for school, some poems and short stories and things that I'm not going to put on my Goodreads because they're just quick, 5-minute reads. So I definitely been in a bit of a book hangover, but I am currently starting to read another book and getting into it, so the book hangover seems to be over. So I'm not going to be recording a TBR for this month because I'm actually going to be recording a Tome Topple TBR, which is 2 weeks in April. And so most of what I'm going to read, I'm just going to put on there, and I don't want to mention it twice. The only thing that I want to mention about a TBR is actually An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. I am going to be reading this one in the next couple of days when I finish the other book that I'm reading. And this is the Job and the Librarians April book of the month that they're going to do a live show on, and it's also buddy reading with Julie over at the Buddy Read Facebook group. I will leave all this information down below for you. So if you want to read this, definitely hop on the train, read it with us, and we'll have a live show on the 29th. We can talk all the talk, and it's wonderful. Last month was a lot of fun with the School for Good and Evil. And yeah, so that's all I have for you today. Have a great day wherever you are. It's a little bit cloudy and rainy here where I am, and so I'm a little bit down today. That's probably why I wore the black lipstick. But either way, have a nice day wherever you are. I love you. Bye.